Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Another episode of Men to Be Inspiring, Outstanding, and Noble with Brother Willie. As we go forward with this day, we first of all would like to thank you for taking the time to listen to our videos and provide input and comments so that we grow, not just us as men, but as you help us to grow. And we thank you for taking the time to review our content. So today, my focus, and again, this is from my opinion, my views, and my experience of my life to this day and time where I am. With that being forward, I listen to a lot of audio books and I read a lot of books as well. And with the busy world with so many things going on, I want to bring this, and you might have heard of this. It's called the Four Agreements, and it's the author of the book or the audio book as well as the written book is Don Miguel Ruiz. And this kind of stuck with me. And I kind of didn't know what I was going to speak about today, but it's about the four agreements. And if you take the time, maybe you could Google it, look it up, or we just going to give you something to think about and just a nugget. But the first thing it talks about impeccable speech. Use impeccable words when you're talking to communicating with your brothers and sisters. Impeccable speech, I would say. The next one, I would say, never take anything personal. And this is a hard one because a lot of times we take a lot of things personal, but sometimes you got to come outside of yourself and say, hey, I'm not even going to look into it or feed into
Right.
it. The next thing is never make assumptions. Ooh, that's a powerful one. And I constantly find myself meditating and not assuming or even judging. And when I say something, I say, oh, that's assumption. I need to get clarification and ask that question. What do you mean? Help me to understand.
Right.
So start reprogramming your thinking and say, let me not assume so much. And then the last thing is always do your best. Do your best. Even when it's hard and you're struggling and you're weak, still do your best.
Right.
So those are four things that I just want to say with this video that I feel that's very important. And if you take the time to look into the four agreements, you would find those things are very simplistic, but yet powerful and very
Right.
profound. And I find myself every day looking at myself and reevaluating myself. And two, it's another book they call the Voices of Knowledge. And that basically breaks down, talks about things that are a lie. A lot of things are a lie. What's the truth and what's the lie? So I'll give you an example. When that little voice speak to you and say you're not good enough, that's a lie because you really are good enough. So that's just another tidbit of something to think about.
Hmm.
Looking at other people thinking that I'm not good enough. Yes, you are. Or if that jealousy voice kick in, that's a lie. Oh no, you know who
Hmm.
you are. When you're born, you're perfectly made. Think about it. When you're born, think of yourself as a child. When all children do is feel, they don't worry about how they look or anything. They just want to play and feel each other. It's not about them judging. But then we get the adult things that your parent teach you. How do you know the things that they taught you was not the truth? That was a lie. How do you know the parents before them that taught them was a lie? So you have to really look at yourself, evaluate, and see, identify what's the truth and what's a lie.
Right.
And I know that's a lot to unpack, but I just wanted to give this video talking about the four agreements. And from that, I'll turn it over to Brother Willie. Thank you.
Thank, thank you, CJ.
Yeah.
Um, Again, this brother Willie. And listening to what my brother was saying, he gave us he called it nuggets. He gave us some little nuggets of knowledge there. And I just want to bounce off of what he says. And whereas when we hear things like this, we want to be prepared to receive them, you know. And this is something that I have to do with myself because I know he said number one was impeccable speech. And whoa, that's a hard one for me, coming down here from the South, down here in Mississippi. So, but one thing I can do, I can work on the impeccable speech part, but one thing I definitely can do is give you my heart, and try to speak from the spirit that I have until I, get better on some of these things. And as all of us, because that's what me and CJ always say, we call it a journey. We're on a journey of self-improvement. And but how do we start to prepare ourselves to receive? And I want to start by reading this. And it's out of the Bible, it's out of the King James Version. It's Hosea 4:6, where it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." Now, CJ just gave us some knowledge, but it said, "My people are destroyed from lack of knowledge."
Amen.
And if we all students of the Bible, which we all should be, I know we agree with that. But I got to say this. What's the next part of that particular passage? And the next part of it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because," all right, there's a because here. We're destroyed for lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected knowledge. And see, and that's something that we have to internalize. It doesn't necessarily mean that the knowledge is not here. It doesn't necessarily mean that people don't come in and out of your life and share things with you. It doesn't mean that this society we live in, as crazy as it may appear, it doesn't mean that this society is devoid of knowledge. Because Hosea 4:6 say, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because thou hast rejected." Meaning we heard it. Somebody brought it to us. Somebody tried to share it with us, but we didn't pay no attention. And that's one of the steps. And another step me and CJ was talking about. I know I got to be quick. We was talking about frequency, and I was speaking with a young brother in the community here, and I asked him, did he believe in God? And he told me, yeah. And I asked him, I said, how do you see God? How do you know God is with you? And the brother dropped his head. He said, he just don't think about it that deep. And the thing that I've heard the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say that helped me on a personal level. Think about it like this. Every city, every town, every state you go in, it has a radio station. That particular radio station has a physical location somewhere. Wherever that equipment is set up is a physical location, but it sends out a what? It sends out a frequency.
Frequency, yes.
And you have to tune your radio dial. Tune in on that particular frequency. You see, and so here where I live, our frequency for our local radio, well, one of our local radio stations is 94.3. It's WBAD, we call WBAD. And if you tune in, now WBAD is sitting on Seven Oaks Road here in Greenville. And the building don't move. The equipment don't move. There's so many megahertz towers, they don't move. But it's sending out a frequency. And so people say, how can God be everywhere? Where he sends out. Spiritually, he sends out a frequency. And you got to tune your mental dial to whatever that frequency is. And if I tune my radio here to 94.3, I get WBAD in my house. If somebody across town tune their radio in their house to 94.3, what they gonna get? They're gonna get WBAD. A car coming through here traveling on the highway, tune their car radio to 94.3, what they gonna get? WBAD. So WBAD is in all these different places. Somebody could be walking with a boombox like Hal did in the 80s. Like CJ did in the 80s with it. He could tune that boombox to 94.3. If he was here, he would get WBAD. So don't look at, you have to look at God then as a frequency, but don't focus so much on God. Focus so much on your tuning. And if you tune in sincerity through prayer, through practical application of what they call it, righteous repetition of, man, I didn't get it right. Let me do it again. Just keep going at it and get in that spiritual tuning. And you'll find out that God will be with you everywhere you go. If you tune in on the right frequency, he's all around us. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge because you have rejected knowledge. You see? And so don't think God is not working. Think about, what do I need to tune in better? And if you say I've been tuning in, and some of us can say that, then there's sometimes you have to tune in. Sometimes on certain radios, you have to come a little bit off of 94.3. It's what they call fine tuning. So sometimes God be trying to give us or fill our cup. And sometimes the things we do, sometimes the things we are doing, sometimes the things we say, sometimes how we treat people, sometimes these things, if we're not careful, can block these blessings. We tuning into the right station, but sometimes we may need to go internal and do a little bit of fine tuning so that we can zero in on and feel the Spirit of God. And then once you feel it, that's when we become alive. Because remember, in the book of Genesis, it said, God breathed into him his inspiration. Yes. You see, he breathed into him, and then he became a living soul. And so that's what we want to do today. And so that's my time, family. And I just wanted to bounce off that beautiful knowledge that CJ gave us and try to help us prepare to receive these things as we go down this journey of self-improvement and try to be better. And since God is so generous and want to give us blessings, man, let's get these blessings together. So that's my time, family. I'll turn it back over to CJ. Thank you.
Man, Brother Willie, that's awesome. Well received, brother. Yes, I'm smiling inside and out. The Holy Spirit is upon us right now, Father God. Just thank you for those words, man. Yes, I just feel great things are coming, and thank y'all for being a part of our journey. We thank y'all from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
More to come.